Welcome to Music on the Underground, where I showcase the talent Ottawa has to offer with interviews and music throughout the episodes to hopefully give you some new favorite bands you might add to your Spotify playlist. But I'm not going to waste any more of your time as we're going to get this episode started right now.
If you don't love me the way I need, the way I want, I'm wanting you, please. Gotta love me just right, touch me just right, me just the way I need. Won't you see me tonight? If you don't just touch me just the way I like, baby, I'm out here.
Hello and welcome back to Music on the Underground. And once again in the studio we have O5EAN with me today. How you doing, man?
Great, man. Happy to be back.
And we talked about a few different topics based on your music and touched a little bit on your short film, 34 Ways to Die, which you entered into. I can't remember the name of the competition.
Just like film festivals, it's all international. There's some local ones like the Ottawa one. There's like TIFF. I tried a couple for the Rome, the one in Cannes. Fingers crossed I get into one of them.
Have you got any emails back about any of that?
The first deadlines that I saw were for the Rome ones, which were the end of March. I didn't get some into those ones, but I know I'm looking for. I mean, it would be nice even just to get the Ottawa one, but I think that's closer to the fall, so I won't know until to the end of the year.
Okay.
But the Cannes one would be really nice for first time for my first film.
But yeah, we are also going to feature some clips from the film during this episode, thanks to O5EAN allowing it. We had to clarify a little bit, obviously, because of the regulations for the short films that kind of make it a little bit difficult to maybe showcase it on some different platforms. But, you know, as long as we keep it to at least a little bit of a minimum, you know, we should be all good. Just to showcase it a little bit for everyone listening on the podcast and also so you know what we're talking about during this. But before we get to the short film, I wanted to talk a little bit about O5EAN himself, because we did talk a lot about music making and a bunch of different areas that involve in that. But I wanted to focus a bit on you for this first bit of the episode. And first I want to start off, we talked a little bit about the name change, which is a big thing, but how did you come up, like how did you get to the name O5EAN? Like why was that your choice for the name?
I mean, starting off, I had some pretty terrible rap names, I can't lie. But over time, I really wanted to be something similar to what my actual name is. I think at one point I just called myself Adriano as like when I was doing music. But I don't know. I wanted to kind of associate differently. I didn't want people to see me and then assume that everything that I'm talking about is like just purely like me on a daily basis. Because sometimes I like to be a little creative, so I want to have the choice of kind of being more extra. And like I said, like I mentioned last time on the interview, like Tupac was a big inspiration of mine and his real name was Tupac. So I was like, how do I kind of think of a name that's kind of similar to mine? And my real name is Adriano, which is after the Adriatic Sea. So I kind of went with that. People would always say like I'm moody and I'm brooding or I'm kind of up or I can kind of be down. So it kind of works with the ocean. It could be turbulent, you know? So, or I'm always feel like I'm going through a phase or like kind of going through waves, kind of going against the current. So I just found like the more I thought about it, the more it felt like me. And then I mentioned before with the numbers, just kind of like, it started as something that was like copyright, but then I really got into like numerology and like, just kind of like the occult, kind of like kooky kind of stuff. So I found that the numbers was kind of like a nice touch to it. And then as I saw in the hip hop world, people are trying to be like very alternative, adding numbers and symbols in their name. So I was like, oh, I was already ahead of the wave. So it's kind of nice. I'm heading in the right direction. So.
Yeah, I did. I mean, maybe I should have noticed that considering I'm Italian too. So maybe I should have noticed the whole Adriatic Sea type of thing. Yeah. But yeah, that's a sneaky but easy to come up with way to come up with a name. But my next question is, I wanted to focus a bit on, we didn't really focus too much on a bit of your early time in the like music. Like how did you get to the point where you wanted to start making music?
Well, it actually started with, it's cheesy, but when I was like, I want to say middle school, maybe even younger, I would write like, or I try to give this girl like poetry or like a poem, you know, just trying to set myself apart because I really had no game at that point, right? Like, what do you really know about anything? And then over time, I got really good at it. And she's like, oh, whatever. And I really started getting into hip hop at the same time. And I kind of saw like the similarities to like the structure. And then even in school, like English class, learning about like Shakespeare and stuff. But they would start like on a school bus. I would do like little freestyles with my friends. We just talk shit over line. I don't know if anyone remembers MSN, but we write little freestyles back and forth. And then once I hit high school, I was in school with this guy named Mike, and he told me like, oh, I'm with like a record label, and like, which was like hilarious. But I was like, oh, like you're with a record label, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna bring you to the studio one day. And it's like we go to this guy's apartment, and he has like this little studio set up. He has like CDs he's printing himself, and he has like this little booth which is like 8 cartons on the walls and like whatever you can do. But here I'm like, yo, I'm on a label. They want to sign me. I got to think of a name. I think I did my first freestyle of like Masterpiece Bout About It Part 3, if anyone knows that song. But yeah, that's really how I started. It was just someone really just taking a chance, I kind of showing them little freestyles I did. And he's still my friend to today, and I always thank him all the time, like, you're the reason why I'm even doing this at this point, you know? So yeah, I guess that's how the journey started. Just someone's walk-in closet, I guess, on Carling a couple years ago.
How did you get to the point where you realized you wanted to start making connections with other people in different cities close to Ottawa?
Well, I mean, Ottawa, when I was younger, Ottawa hip hop was like non-existent. It was like maybe one or two guys really doing it, and they weren't really going anywhere. But even like when you try to go to shows, like no one would really stop in Ottawa. They'd always go to Toronto or Montreal. So just as the older I got, just kind of like paying attention to what was going on, I feel like I have to branch out. And I would see like anyone who kind of made it big in the Canadian hip hop scene would always leave Ottawa and kind of claim Toronto, or they move to the States. But I've been so stubborn even now. I just like, no, I want to be the one that does it in Ottawa and like kind of claims it, you know? I'm sure it's kind of held me back at the same time, but it's like, I want to try, you know? I want to try building it up. But it's going really great now, so I can't lie.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely noticed that when it comes to like different artists, because people like when I've talked to a few different artists at this point, and a lot of it is I've talked to some where it's like, have you guys thought about maybe like starting to get some shows in Toronto and maybe try and like even going to New York is easily possible, especially from Ottawa, where it's like an hour and a half maybe to get to New York, I think.
Even just
roughly.
A road trip is like 10 hours or something.
Yeah, like pretty much. Like, so if you really wanted to, people definitely from Ottawa could definitely try and get shows in different like bigger scenes, like especially for hip hop. Like the main place nearby is definitely New York.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, obviously everyone wants to stay in their local city and like see how much they could really do here. But the tough thing with Ottawa is it's just like, I don't even know. It's like there's a lot of artists here, but it's like there's just not a lot of attention.
The thing is, it's not a big population either. It's not like a big major city. So at one point you're trying to appeal to a demographic where there's such a small, like it's usually the youth, but as they get older, a lot of people stop listening to hip hop in Ottawa, and they kind of, you know, it's like classic rock is like the big radio stations here, or like, you know, Billboard 100, or like country, right? So that's why you have those crossover songs, like those artists like Shabuzi will come to Ottawa, who has like the country and the hip hop, and everyone will rush to Blues Fest to get it. But when you have like, I don't know, the Nas and Wu-Tang shows at Blues Fest are pretty big, but I feel like a lot of people are just there already because they bought like the week's pass or something, you know? Like,
Yeah.
like I know Nelly and Ja Rule were here the other week, but those are more like,
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
but
CTC.
that's more like nostalgic type of hip hop. Like that was a time, so people are kind of like just revisiting the youth. So they, you know what I'm saying? Like, how many people your age are really going back and listening to Nelly? And nothing against it, but like, you know,
I mean, yeah, that's true. I mean, a lot of the hip hop nowadays is very different from the stuff they put out in like the 90s and early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a whole different type of music.
Mhm.
All right. So I remember during the live interview, you were kind of mentioned how you wish you brought the mask to the interview.
Yeah.
And I was curious, like, is there anything behind the mask? Is it just like a cosmetic type of thing, or is it more, is there any sort of meanings behind the mask and why it's kind of part of your, like, I guess, persona as like Ocean?
It's like one of those mistakes that actually becomes like something. So when I first started doing it, like a lot of people were getting face tattoos, and I was like, I have tattoos, I like tattoos, but it's not really like, how do I kind of tap into that scene without actually doing it? It's like, what if I just get a mask and kind of wear it for, I think it was like a video idea or something. I was like, I'll just put some tattoos that mean something on the mask, and then I'll just wear it for that. And then I was trying to stage this live concert show, and I was like, oh, I'll do a white mask and I'll transition to a red one. It'll be kind of cool. And then the more I thought about it and put effort into it, I was like, you know, wearing masks is like a very Venetian, very Italian thing. Like, it's kind of cool. Like, kind of goes into like my culture. And then there's a few hip hop artists like MF Doom that actually wear a mask when they perform. But like other I don't know, like more metalheads would kind of wear like a really cool mask. So I was like, yeah, that'd be kind of cool if like when I perform live, I kind of keep the mask. But the original mask I made, there's no mouthpiece. So
Oh,
I would kind of
okay.
just use it as an aesthetic and then kind of just put it over my head when I perform live. So when I kind of switched from the 34 to the 5, I made myself a new mask and it just kind of covers over here. More like a superhero, I guess, or like a villain type style. But it's a lot easier for me to perform it and like move around. And I did it last time when I did City Sounds for O5EAN. I did it on Spark Street wearing the mask performing for my first time. It was pretty cool. So, and people were like walking by looking at like, who's this guy singing and rapping with, with his silly mask on? So it's kind of like an easy attention grabber. It kind of allows me to like really lock into who I am as the performer and the artist outside of, you know, like before leading up to the stage, I'm talking to my girlfriend, talking to my mom, talking to my friend. But when I put the mask on, it's like work time, you know, like now I can just fully lose myself into this person, and then I don't have to feel bad about what I'm saying or what I'm doing, or you know, all my responsibilities kind of go off when you put the mask on. So it's kind of like a vehicle for me to kind of jump into. You know?
Are there any venues that you've had that you've really enjoyed playing at that maybe drawn more attention to like the whole mask situation? Like anything that's happened at any venue that may be like involving the mask that was kind of interesting?
I know the one venue I like performing at was at St. Bridget's Church. I did with Melinda a couple years ago, but I wasn't wearing the mask at that time. I really like the aesthetic of being like this old church, and like the acoustics are really well. But I find anytime I've worn the mask going anywhere, I like to wear it like as I'm walking to the venue, and it's easy attention grabber. So like I like performing downtown because I always get weird looks, people trying to take pictures and stuff, or people will remember me after the show, like, yo, you're the guy with wearing the mask, man. Like, I love your music. I think you just like the mask, but I was like, thanks, man. You like the music too, you know? It's just like a good way of branding, right? Like, it's a good way to do it. I tried wearing, before I wear like, what's it called? Like a paintball vest, almost like a bulletproof vest, because it's very fashionable at one time when hip hop. So I'd wear that because I had this whole like mixtape album, like Future Trunks, like the Dragon Ball Z character. So like I grew up my hair like I have it now, and I dyed it blue, and I'd wear the vest and like the ripped jean jacket. But then I started wearing a bandana, but then kind of get me in trouble because people were kind of assuming I was trying to associate myself with a certain gang or whatever.
Okay.
So I'd have those conversations after shows. I was just like, it's not worth the problem, you know. So I just
Yeah.
like, I'm Italian, bro. Like, come on. I'm like, yo, like, I'm not trying to be on this set. Like, I'm Future Chunks. The guy's like, what? I was like, Future Chunks, bro. I got the vest, the blue hair. He's like, nah, bro, you need to take the bandana off. I was like, I'm not taking the bandana off, bro. Like, this is what I'm performing in, you know? So, but look, I don't have these conversations all the time, type of thing. So, just like,
Okay.
it is what it is, you know?
Is there any venue in particular that you love to play at, or usually have a lot of shows that you usually play at?
There's not too many that I've revisited. I always try to do a different venue and a different scene every time. I'm very sporadic and that type of thing. Like the last time I mentioned, like I go in a different studio. So like now my mission is like, where else can I perform? Like where else can I go? I always want to like outdo the last one I did. So I went from, like I said, like a little garage to like going to Lansdowne. I did what's it called? Avant-Garde was probably one of my favorite ones.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little whatever. But like it's just like a checklist. It's like when you're an artist in Ottawa and you perform, it's like you got to do avant-garde at least once, right? So I don't know. I mean, what I would love to do is like the Canadian Tire Center. That would be great. Or even like TD Place. The most I did was like this little bar that I did it on. Well, it was still Lansdowne, so it was cool for me. But like performing at TD, like that'd be crazy, you know?
Have you done Bronson Center?
No, I tried actually doing the Bronson Center when I was trying to organize. When I did my private film premiere, I wanted to do a concert at the same time. That was one of the things, but the booking for that is like months in advance, and you need to get like insurance and stuff. So I was like, that's kind of I don't have any grants. Like another thing, I like being a Canadian artist because you get a lot of grants, but it's hard to get it because you really have to fit into like a certain profile to like. Really
Yeah, I guess so. Because you can't hold the venue liable for anything, right? Because you're the one performing there, so they try to get as much coverage as they can because they don't want to have anything stupid happen, especially with the people attending, right? So it's that whole thing. Is there any what places haven't you played at, like other than the ones you've mentioned that are obviously the big name venues?
I haven't performed at Bronson. I was trying to do something at the Rainbow Room because that's kind of like another staple I'd love to perform at.
But you haven't done the Rainbow?
No, I mean I've talked to them. I've reached out a few times trying to do something, but plans always fall through. Just on my end, just trying to organize stuff. But it's on the bucket list because they have a cool venue too, where it's like a grand hall. There's like a pool table and stuff. So
yeah,
I want to be able to like chill and set up. I'm really trying to do something like crazy, almost like a WrestleMania, but like with a concert. You know, like those like cheesy promos. Like they'll do like a little like they'll talk their shit, and then like the
Yeah,
guy will come out.
yeah.
So I wanted to like in a couple week advance like get a bunch of artists to like perform with me, but like do individual promos for them. So then like yo like say you're performing right, so I upload your promo on the screen, you're just going crazy, and then you come out the stage and everyone just goes crazy. Like that's how I want. I want to do that. Like I really like to have the performance aspect to it, like really make it like a real experience. Other than I got a ticket, I watched this guy sing. And jump off the stage, and I went home. You know, it's like I hung up with this guy. This guy was like nuts. This guy's like coming out of a movie or something. You know, like I try to take it to the next level. Sometimes I feel like I take on too much at the same time, but I don't know. It's like one of those things I get really passionate about, so I try to throw everything at it.
Well, yeah, I mean, as long as you have that kind of passion to do what you want to do and put everything into it, people are gonna appreciate that most of the time. The people,
budget, that's the thing. I need the funding, man.
yeah, you could definitely do that sort of thing at like the Rainbow because you have like those 2-level kind of like stands. Like you have the bottom floor, and then you have that upper floor with the pool tables and stuff like that. And the stage is like a couple off the ground. You could kind of do something where it's like the hip hop artist or the artist there like having beef or something like that. Like
yeah,
I
like
don't
little
know.
pyro with the smoke, like just like stage a whole dramatic event just to throw the crowd off. I'm like, we're just kidding, bro. Put the song on and everything.
Is there any other places other than the Rainbow that you're looking to?
I'm blanking right now. Those are the only ones I can think of off the top of my
You've
head.
performed 27 Club.
Oh, I didn't even think of the 27 Club. No, I never performed at 27
Really?
Club, yeah.
I would think the 27 Club is like kind of the main place for all hip hop artists, at least that I've seen.
Oh, yeah, really?
I've seen a decent amount of hip hop artists, like stuff about them going to 27 Club. Have you gone to Club Saw?
Yeah, I performed at
okay.
Club Soul. That was the last event I was trying to tell you that I did when I was wearing the blue suit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My girl's like the OAG, and I was like, it's close to the OAG, but it's not. Yeah, Club Soul is a really cool venue.
It's definitely one of the bigger small venues, at least that I've noticed. What's another one? Like Live on Elgin?
Live on Elgin. No, I don't think I performed at Live on Elgin. But there was a event I did. Well, I was attending an event for Cranium. They did it at the Art Center on Elgin. When I saw that, I was like, yo, they're doing hip hop inside the Art Center? Like, I gotta do. I think I was asking security, like, yo, how much is the venue here? Like, how can I get a show? So there's definitely a few places I want to perform in Ottawa, but I don't know. I like to do things that someone else can't mimic. So I usually try to build my own venues or like do my like. I would love to do something like performing randomly on top of a rooftop, drawing a crowd, and then getting arrested at the end of it. A bunch of like, I want to be like some real rock star shit, you know, like booking a venue and like doing it is like cool too, but I want to make a venue. It's like this guy can't copy me and do that because you know you're gonna have to go to jail with me then, bro. You know.
Have you done anything like that up to this point? Like anything like at least close to it, or at least in the same direction?
Well, the one I told you about was I did in Bell's Corners was just like in a mechanic garage, and I turned into like a whole stage and like little food cart, little street.
Oh yeah.
But I don't have anyone ballsy enough to really if the cops come, you know, that's the problem. Everyone says they're down, but when it's time to like booking it, everyone's like, I don't know if I should do it, you know. I need someone willing to take the risk. So.
What festivals up to this point do you have like that you've done?
Festivals? I've just done like a lot of stuff with O5EAN. So whatever their city sound stuff, I've done that a couple of years back, like back to back. Sorry. I've done Raw Artists, whatever. That's the one I did with Melinda. And then the other one that I did at Club Star was like this. I think it's like every couple months. It's a series called Share Your Piece or Pieces of Us, which is like a mix of like poets, singers. You can do spoken word and like a little bit of hip hop. So that was a really great experience, actually. They're very kind to the artists. They make you feel like VIP. They put you in like a green room. They give you your own private food. I was like, damn, I haven't had this in my whole career.
That's cool. I mean, you know, obviously as someone who's never really performed, it's always interesting to hear these different points of view from these different like venues that you played at. And it's like,
I think my whole career is like DIY. Like I make my own mask. I usually like to bring a canvas too to all my live shows so people can like, instead of like an autograph book, you kind of just show up and you just draw something, and then I take home the painting. And
that's cool. I like that
like a
idea.
nice memento. I have a few of those in my room when I record, just like a nice memento or like inspiration. You know, when I'm trying to work on something, it's like these are the people that came to see you. I really liked it, and they put something on the canvas for you. So it's like do it for them.
That's a great idea. I get that. Oh yeah. So you did say you're like very DIY, very like independent when it comes to your like music making. You said right.
Yeah.
So do you have anyone that helps you with your music though when it comes to like maybe writing or like producing?
Well, the guy I mentioned before, Mike, who brought me to my first studio session, he's usually someone I'll like run things by. Like maybe I'll record a demo and I'll send him like, "Yo, what do you think of this? Do you think it's worth keep doing?" Or like I'll bring him in as like just an extra ear when I'm actually recording in the booth, like because like I said, like sometimes your ears get tired or like you have the song in your head, so you're not really hearing the mistakes. For a long time, I was working with an engineer by the name of Deathwish Sound. He helped me record most of my project, 34 Ways to Die, and I met him at BPM Studios. And I have a lot of demos with him. But usually just like my close friends, you know, I like to know what people are listening to. I have like younger friends, so like I'll send them music and like older ones just to get like a range of where am I still in touch? Do I still, you know what I mean? Do I still have it type of thing? But I like usually like sending songs to like random people, like my girlfriend's mom or something, like my mom, just to get her taste because it's like a different era, a different like
Yeah.
flavor type of thing, you know. But
So following on that, I just wanted to ask a bit about like how many, because you did mention like the different demos you had with like Death Wish and some of these other people. Out of all like the like when it comes to like making music, do you just kind of like come up with a bunch of demos and then just like pick kind of out of all the different like demos you come out with and actually try and make it into a like full-fledged song?
that's a good question. I had the process where I like when I first started doing like I'd pay for studio time. I would try to write in the studio. That was wasting a lot of time. So then I was just like, oh, trying to have an idea of what I want to do, and I'll go in the studio and I'll do it. And I was like, that's wasting a lot of time too. So like, what I try to do is like, honestly, I'll just go on YouTube. I'll try to find a beat, or someone already made a beat for me, and I'll just do demos using my voice recorder on my phone. I'll do take after take after take until I like what I'm doing. And then this way, when I go in the studio, it's just a matter of executing it the way I want. And usually, before I even book a studio session, I'll book like 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. I want to have 5 demos on my phone. So the beats, I already know what I'm trying to do on the beat. I already have a hook idea. Sometimes I only have like a hook and maybe one verse because hip hop's like 2 to 3 verses.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll try to go in. Like I think a couple years ago, I had like 4 or 5 EPs or like 4 or 5 albums ready to go. It was just a matter of okay, which ones do I actually like? Which ones are consistent with the sound I'm trying to do? So like, let me buy a lease for this beat because I would just rip a beat off YouTube and not even pay for it yet because I want to see how it sounds like before I start investing into it. But I have like I have like 2 Dropbox accounts full of music just sitting. I don't know what to do with it. Like, it's probably got to be recorded. It's got to be mastered. I got to buy like licenses for it. So and then I was trying. I had, like I said before, I'm trying to do like a rock EP. I was trying to do an Italian one. And I was just trying to do like the one I was working on, the 34 Ways to Die one. Then I was trying to do like I'll get inspired today and hear a song that's like I want to do a whole project about it. So I don't know.
So we did talk about during the live interview also a bit about that, how like you liked the different genres and like to be a bit more like, what's the word? Like, more like touching different areas.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you said you like you were doing different things like a rock EP and like Italian EP.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that usually change? Like, how do you come to the realization you want to do this different genre? Or is it just like kind of like mood swing type of thing? Or is it like,
well, it's like, okay, imagine you went to the studio tonight and you did like these 3, maybe 4 hip hop songs. Like, oh, this is the best project in the entire world. No one's gonna do anything better than this. And then you go in the car and someone plays a song and it's like all in Italian, or like you just hear a rock song. It's like, man, I love all this music I just made, but it's not giving me the feel of this. Like, how do I capture this? Now I want to do this. You know, I'm like a wild dog sometimes. Just like, oh, what's this treat? You know, like my attention span's so short. Or it's like I'm watching a movie and it's a really slow jazzy song. It's like really sentimental. It's like, well, this is garbage now. Like I just did a bunch of aggressive, bar-y hip hop song. I can't put that in the movie. You know, like even when I was working on my movie, I was trying to figure out, am I gonna put other people's songs in it or am I gonna put my own? And it was like, what genre of my own music do I want to put in this film? So I tried to kind of put it from early stuff all the way to like what I was trying to do now in a different type of tone. So I don't know. I have a hard time focusing sometimes on like what I'm trying to accomplish.
did go over the short film. It was a good short film. It was like, I don't know if the right word is like acid trip in a sense. Like
People tell me it's not like Kill Bill, certain aspects to it, where
it's very like, well, like the whole thing of it, like, you know, Able to Die Cipher, you know, it's like a dream kind of thing, or very like, I don't know what the right word is I'm looking for, but you get what I'm trying to say.
yeah. I think because I knew I had the idea that I wanted to make a short film, but I had a hard time sticking to one theme or one genre. As always, like I kind of think with music, so it's like I'm gonna do all of it. I'll be like, Act One I'll be able to do things like this, and then like the second act, I'll be able to do it this type of style. So it's kind of like for every act is like a different movie that I have a plan of what I want to make. It kind of gives me an idea of what it might look like, and then as more people watch it, people tell me, I really like this act the most. So it's like maybe that's the movie I'll really make full length in this type of style, and then I'll go from there. It was like kind of like testing, but it was also letting me get out all these different ideas, and just trying to make a movie. Like me and my girl were doing all the makeup, all the outfits for people. I was making like the intro scene where like the credits are rolling. I built that set. Like I did all the painting on the walls, and like that was very time consuming because I didn't have the budget to like go rent this Airbnb or go buy this. So it's like I got to do with what I have.
So where did you record the short film?
My old grandparents' place.
Really?
Yeah.
They let you do that?
I mean, it's in the movie, right? So, but then it's also me when I watch the movie. It's like now I have that place forever. So I have this old AP where I'm standing on this old white Buick, and it was my grandmother's who passed away. That car is long gone, but now every time I look at the thing, it's like I have this car forever. There's a picture of me on it. It's on the internet. You know what I mean? I can show it to my kids one day. Like, yeah, it's a part of history now. So when I'm really big and famous at one point, I'm just like, yo, remember the old Buick? Like, I don't know. It's nostalgic for me. I try to incorporate real things from my life as I try to make art, so it comes from a real place. So it's not like, oh yeah, I rented this old car for like $200, and then I hired a bunch of these random girls I don't even know the real name, and then I went to go rent this suit that I don't even actually own. Like, I don't know. Everything you see me wear in the movie is mine. It's like it's in my actual wardrobe, or someone gave it to me for the movie. Nothing is just like randomly in the garbage.
Well, what would you say the budget is for this short film? Like, ended up being
under 10 grand.
10 grand.
Under 10 grand.
So like
somewhere between like 7, 8, maybe 9. There's a few things
What costs the most? Like, I guess like when you at the ending point, you're like, dang, this costs a lot.
Well, each time, let's say we were doing a scene, sometimes I would have to put money towards the venue. I had my camera guy, and then I would have someone kind of doing behind the scenes at the same time. So I'm paying for 2 cameramen. Some of the actors or actresses, sorry, kind of volunteered, but other ones required a little pay. And then I would also try to be a gracious host. So I would, if someone could make it, I would Uber them, or I'd get food and snacks. Like I try to be very accommodating.
Yeah.
And it adds up every time you do it, right? So, and then I'd have to pay for the post editing. Towards the end of the movie, there's a lot of VFX that I had to outsource with the help of my cinematographer, Josh. So that cost a bit extra money, but it was worth it. I also tried to show in the movie, if you have the pleasure of watching one time, is as the movie progresses and my music career progresses, so does the movie, and like the quality of it and like the cinematography that goes behind it, which is something that I want to do on purpose. So it's kind of like as you grow in life, the movie grows in life, the music grows, and also the movie you're actually watching actually gets really better. So you can kind of see it's a little more handmade, but then you really see the effects going into it. The venues look a bit bigger, and the acting gets a lot better because then you kind of forget what you're trying to do, right? Like I don't really talk a lot in the movie. I'm mostly letting other people. I'm more just like going through the motions.
Well, I'm pretty sure in the movie you're unable to talk.
Yeah. Well, I wanted people to feel like that's them kind of like tied up and all these things are just happening to you. I felt like if I just kept talking through the whole movie, you're just kind of just watching me.
Yeah, I guess.
Because it's a movie about me, but I didn't want it to be about me. It's kind of like Seinfeld. It's about nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
like
about everything.
Yeah, okay. Like, I mean, you wanted it to. You didn't want to be like you explaining stuff. You wanted it to be kind of like have other characters kind of like.
But I didn't want to come across like I'm the greatest person in the world and like you have to make a movie about me and this is why I had to make a movie. It was just kind of like I want you to see this and I want you to relate to it because we all go through this type of journey.
And continuing with the people who are maybe involved with it, Incentive Studios is the one who's credited with directing the short film. Could you talk to me a bit about them?
Yeah, he. I don't know when exactly, but a couple years ago, I don't think one of us followed each other on Instagram, liking what we were doing. And he would always just like show support and say, yo, we need to do something one day. We need to do something one day. And then, like I said, last year around Christmas time, he's like, man, when are we going to do something? And I was it's just like, well, I have this body of music, 34 Ways to Die, but I've like instead of doing another music video, which is so boring for me at that point, I was like, I'm kind of thinking making it into a film. He's like, yo, I just finished doing a short film. Let me send it to you. He showed me, and I was like, wow, this guy has a good eye for camera. He knows how to do the cuts. He's done music videos. He's worked with artists, but he also knows how to make a movie. Like, this is a great starting point. And from there, we just started working as a guard. I asked him questions like, what do I need? He's like, well, you need a PA. You need to be doing this. Like, you need to have a script. You need to have, like, he was really hands-on showing me how to do it. Now he's like a really good friend of mine. And he's, now he keeps bugging me to do a music video. So, but he wants to do like really high quality, like, he's really good at VFX and like stuff like that. So we're really trying to do something with that. So our next couple of music videos will probably be directed by him.
Cool.
Yeah, movie quality. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, having connections definitely helps out a lot, especially with cinematography, right?
Yeah.
So
I like people to work with people who are generally interested in like what I'm trying to do and appreciate what I'm trying to do. It makes things work a lot easier. Whereas if you're just there for the paycheck, I don't want to be there. He doesn't want to be there. And he works the same way too. Like, he has options to work with whoever he wants. He picks and chooses the projects that he feels strong about, and that's who I want to work with. I want someone who's almost as passionate about what I'm trying to do as what they're trying to do, because then I find you have the better product. I can go pay for a name, slap it on a music video, and say, "Hey, this guy made it." But like, I like to write my own music videos. I like to plan and direct it out. I don't want to just rent an Airbnb, do a smoking shot, have a girl shake the ass, pour the bottle on, call it a wrap. Like, I can do it. I've done it maybe once or twice, but it's not really what I'm trying to do.
I mean, I have done it, but
well, I did it just for like as a like I don't know, just something to do, I guess. So let's try doing it. Let's see if the music is any different. And it's like, didn't really feel anything about it.
Was he involved at all with like the writing of the short film at all?
He would only help it when we're actually on scene trying to do the shot. He's like, okay, you made the script, told me this is what you're trying to do to see, but like, what's happening? He really like make me break it down, or he's like, okay, well, if you do it like this, you're gonna need to do it like that. So he would kind of help me bring it to where my budget was and what we can do in that moment within the time we have. So he was a filter for what I was trying to do. I wouldn't say he wrote anything. He was just like, okay, I see your vision. This is the only way you can execute it if this is what we're working with.
Okay.
So I owe him a lot.
So he was able to like guide you, I guess, a bit through like how you're able to like bring your vision to life, pretty much.
Yeah, for sure. Like, even the way it looked afterwards, he's like, what, like, how do you want this movie to come across? Like, how do you want the credits to look like? What kind of color coding do you want us to be? Like, and then he would help me doing a lot of the audio afterwards, because I just kind of put in all the music where I wanted it to be. But he's like, man, you kind of need like to segue into things and like have the audio kind of like help transition to this, so people really have that feeling, or like when something scary happens, you kind of have that chilling type of thing. So he really showed me how to do that, because I'm just an artist trying to make a movie, right? So I'm only thinking about the audio, like put the music in here. But he's like, kind of segue into the music, and then when someone slaps their hand, like maybe something dramatic happens at that point. So yeah, he was a lot of help making the movie for sure.
So basically, just off that, I just wanted to ask, like, did you ever feel maybe a bit overwhelmed when you were like making this, and when you were starting to get suggestions from your director, and you were kind of just like realizing that, oh, like these different things I wasn't actually thinking about when I was writing this, I have to think about this now?
Yeah, there was a few times I was so worried about getting people to show up to the set on time, make sure they have their lines ready, make sure they have everything they need, and then it's like, hey, where's your stuff? It's like, you're in this too, like, or I'd be so focused on what they're doing. He's like, man, like, this is your scene, this is your movie. Like, where are you at with this? Like, what's the vision? And I'm trying to be the actor, and I'm trying to be like the director of it too. And then it's like, it was overwhelming, but it also showed me that I can do it. So it's definitely possible. And I like to have numerous things on the go, but it was definitely it was hard sometimes, because like I'm trying to film this one scene, and it's like I only have this venue that we like. I think it's Act 3. We're in the movie theater, and I'm handcuffing the guy, but I only have that movie theater for like 2 hours, and like half my cast is not there yet, and I'm paying for it. And my director, he has another movie to go work on, so he can't be here for an extra 3 or 4 hours. Like, I have to make sure my whole day was clearing so I can get this done, but like I'm on a time constraint. So he's like, yo, what do you want to do? And I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like, he's like, yo, you got to figure it out, man. Like, time's on the clock. And I was like, I know. Like, but I like it. I need someone to push me to kind of keep me focused, or like figure it out. So we did we did it. You know, everyone showed up on time at the very last second, but I don't know. There was definitely some moments where like it felt like the world was against me. You know, or I think I had to reschedule a whole shoot because something had happened, and I was just like so discouraged. Like I can't get that venue, or maybe there was certain I don't even remember what it was, but I just remember I had to completely change the date of film, and then I was worried that other people wouldn't be available, and then it's like all these people available, but then my director wasn't available, so it was a lot of back and forth. It's not easy making a movie, especially when you don't have like 100 people working for you, making sure everything's on point. Like I had to be the one following up with people, making sure, kind of refining the script as we did it. And another problem is like I gave a lot of the creatives who were in my movie a lot of freedom to kind of like put themselves into it. So if I like wrote you like dialogue, I wrote it like pretty loosely, like just say it the way you would say it. Because I tried people to play themselves as the character, but just kind of narrowing down that one aspect of yourself, you know. So if I needed you to be a podcaster in a movie, I wouldn't really write any questions for you. I would just say, hey, like just do what you do in the podcast. But you're like, I don't know who I'm interviewing, you know. I was like, oh yeah. So like, okay, this is the information. Go, you know, cameras on. It's like there's definitely things I need to improve on as like a director or like a filmmaker, but this was a good way of seeing it unfold as it happened. So.
In the like first few, I guess, times you were filmmaking or like setting up the scenes for the short film, did you ever have like a bunch of struggles that you kind of figured out, I guess, a bit later in the filmmaking process?
Yeah, time management. Because like I'd write a script and it's like, oh yeah, we'll get this done in like 3 hours. Like we'll just film it like this, da da da. And it's like, nah, man, you need to establish the shot, and then you need to get it from a different angle. And it's like, not everyone's gonna get it in the first take. So like I had a lot of props in the movie where they break. So I had to make sure I ordered extra ones because like it's not guaranteed when I give you that glass bottle and you break it over my head, he's gonna get it on camera the right way, man, do it again, you know? So it's like a lot of things just learning like that. Time management was a big one, right? I tried to do a lot in like 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. So you never know. And then people, I don't know, you got to take a break at some time too, right?
Yeah.
Like people get tired. So me, I'll just keep working until I pass out. When everyone has that same ethic, right?
So, was there any scene in particular that maybe took like a ton of reshoots or like a ton of takes to get done?
Yeah, there was a few. I don't want to single anyone else, so I won't go too. But there was a few times where it was just like a simple thing, like a simple action. And we had to do it multiple times because the person just wasn't getting it. But they never acted in a movie before, so it's hard to give them a hard time. Some people I felt like could have performed a bit better, but like I said, it's their first time, and they did me the favor of being in the movie, so I appreciate it. There was no reshoots though. Whatever we filmed, we made the most of it. There was no going back, and I made that very clear when we showed up. Like, this is the venue, and like let's say the movie theater. I'm not renting this again. So if you're not gonna make it here, you're just not gonna be in the movie, or we're just gonna cut you out the scene type of deal. So.
Okay.
And everything. A fun fact: of the movie, everything was filmed. The way you watch it in the movie is the very first scene we filmed to the very last scene we filmed. There's no. We filmed this one. We're gonna put the beginning of the movie. The beginning of the movie is the very first thing we filmed, all the way to the end of the movie. So it was a big at the end of the at the end of the movie.
When you finish the last scene,
Yeah,
you're like,
like,
yeah.
I don't have to do this anymore. Like planning a shoot, finding the venue, making sure everyone's available, and then just like I funded everything. I didn't get no grant, no one gave me any money. It was me doing it as a process, but like life happens, like, you know, I gotta take care of my car. It's someone's birthday, it's a holiday, it's Christmas, it's whatever, you know, whatever's going on. So I have to make sure I'm taking care of all this. But at the same time, I got to finish this movie at the end of the year, right? So that was also a fun thing to do, money management and funding. I mean, I tried to get grants, but I don't know, it just wasn't what they were looking for, I guess.
Well, I think it's a good time we start talking a bit about the different acts and start talking about the short film a bit itself. And we did talk a little bit about it during the live interview back on Saturday. But maybe just as a refresher for those who maybe didn't listen to the live interview, I guess what maybe the main theme is or what this short film is about.
Really is like, what are you willing to die for? What are you willing to die over? What are you willing to sacrifice? I've met and known so many people who told me, hey man, I do music too, like we should do something. And then a year later, I don't make music anymore, man. I enrolled in this class, or I got a job doing this. Like, it's not really something that you're passionate about. It's like, man, when I say I'm an artist and I want to do music, or when I want to do something, I'm so stubborn about it that I'm willing to go broke. I'm willing to lose friends, alienate myself, have issues with people close with me, because this is something that's just in me. And I've tried to give it up. Like, one of the motivations of making this movie was that I was so fed up. I wasn't really getting the accolades that I wanted, or even just like sometimes it's not even about like making money. It's just being recognized for the hard work you do. And I just felt like I was not getting that. And I was just like, I'm so done with this. It kind of made me, like, you kind of see a bit of bitterness in the movie too, where it's just like, man, like, I'm tired of this. Or like, people will see what I'm doing, like, oh, that's a good idea, and they'll take it, but then they won't help me, or they won't even credit me, you know? And I was like becoming very petty. So it's like, let me show you how many times I've died over this and I'm still here, type of thing. So it's kind of like to show and prove people. That's why I'm hoping, just to get this movie, and even just like one festival, it's just like kind of like a fuck you type of thing, you know? Like, I've been through all this and you didn't kill me, you know? I died so many times trying to do this, and I'm still alive. I'm still pushing the music. I put the film out. So that was kind of like one of the motivations. But really, I just wanted to show younger people, younger artists, that like, it's not going to be easy. It's not Billboard 100, you know? Sometimes as an artist, you'll just be the guy who does like those pub shows, you know, you go to a nice restaurant and you're just playing like the violin or something. And as your career, like, maybe you're not going to play in the orchestra, or, you know, maybe you start off in a band, it doesn't work out. Now you own a music shop, and maybe you own a venue. Like, it doesn't matter where, maybe you don't reach the top of the mountain, but you're still adding something to it. You're still building something. And that's just as important. So it's like, I don't need to be the greatest artist that ever sold records or had the most, but just appreciate that I contributed something, that I'm a real artist, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing it for my city. That's all I want, you know, at the end of the day.
So like, as long as you're like still involved with like music making, or just like music in general, you're like okay with that.
Yeah, like, I mean, it'll come to the point where like I want to have a family and I need to take care of those things, but I want to be down the line, but like, hey, like, when I was younger, I was doing this, or like, this is my past. I'm like, this is what I did to help other people, and like, I'm recognized for it, you know? Because I feel like I've given more than a lot of people have, you know, like financially and emotionally, like even physically, you know, like I've given a lot to it, and it's more than half. Like, I started doing this when I was like 16, like that's so long time ago, you know, like for me. So it's like, yo, like, give me my props, you know? Like, I don't need a big statue somewhere, but just like recognize me. So when I go to these events, or I go to these network things by these big companies and labels, there's a few people like, hey man, like, I love what you're doing. Please keep doing what you're doing. But a lot of times people just kind of brush me off, like they don't know what I'm doing, you know? And it's like, it can be frustrating. So I want to show people, like, you're going to die, like death by 1,000 cuts type of thing, you know?
Yeah.
And you just got to be strong enough to go through it, or you're not an artist. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be 80 years old. Like, yo, I can still rap on that beat. You know? Like, I don't know. It's happy and it's sad, you know, but that's life. That's why I like the mask. I have a white mask and a red one, you know? It's like good things, bad things. You know, it's all about balance.
So that is that like in relation to what the short film is called, like 34 Ways to Die? It's supposed to be that whole, like, you know, you're going to go through a bunch of different struggles when it comes to trying to reach your end goal, but it's just, you're still going to get there eventually.
Yeah, it started off as like a musical project called 34 Ways to Die, because I had the 34 in my name. And then I was turning 34, so I was like, yo, it'd be a good way, like, yo, 34 ways to die, you know? Like, 34 years, every year I've gone through whatever. But yeah, it was just like, you're going to die sometimes, and then you got to come back to life again, you know? You got to rebuild. Like, you might get knocked down. Maybe you apply for the show and you don't get accepted as the artist, so you shouldn't quit. You try again. Or maybe you play your first live show and maybe people didn't like that song that you did, but they liked the last one. So it's like, yo, you just got to go through it. Like, it's not always going to be your best day, but you have to constantly keep trying. The only way I got better and knowing what I wanted to do was trying and failing, you know? I don't know. Everyone's going to have a bad day. It's not just you, you know? You're not the first person to do a bad song, perform bad, tell a bad joke, like, make a bad movie. Like, you're not the first one. You're not going to be the last one. So get over it, you know? Don't cry about it, you know? Shrug it off, man.
I guess I'm going a bit back with this next question, but now that you brought it up, I kind of want to ask. But when it comes to like when you're making music, do you ever like do you mainly take into account what other people think about your music, or are you more just necessarily like more focused on what you want in your music, but you'll take like criticisms and stuff like that, but you're not necessarily like focused on what other people want in your music.
No, at the end of the day, it's a song that I want to make. But I mean, if someone said, "Hey, man, like I like what you're doing here, but maybe you should be more melodic. Try doing something more like that." So like I use it as a suggestion when I'm looking for instruments or beats that I want to write to. Or someone says, "Yo, like why don't you doing something more upbeat?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll give it a shot." Like, like I'm not opposed to criticism, but I don't know. Does that answer your question? Or
Yeah. Have you ever gotten like a suggestion from someone else that really like benefited your music?
what do you mean?
I guess like so someone said like, oh, maybe you should try like doing some of this, or maybe like I wasn't really a fan of this. I thought like this was pretty cool or something like that, and maybe you decided to like start using that a bit more, or maybe incorporating something else, and it really helped you when it comes to making music you were more proud of.
Oh yeah, like my friend Mike, who brought me to the studio for the first time, he'll push me. He'll be like, "Bro, I know you can do better than that. Like that sounds like trash. Like it doesn't actually sound like trash, but he's like, yo, like change the flow. Like I know you can change the flow." Or it's like, "Yo, you did better like 2 sessions ago. Like try doing that." Or like, "Yo, when you say it like this, like the beat goes da da da. Like why are you just going straight across? Like go up when you say the word and go down." It's like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna do that." Sometimes it's frustrating. It's like, "Yo, why are you always talking shit?" But it's like he's just trying to push me, and then it's like you kind of do it for spite. It's like, yo, because before we used to do songs together, we'd be like, "Yo, I'm gonna kill you on your own song." It's like, "All right, you got me on this one, I'm gonna kill you on your next one," type of thing. It's like I'm not afraid to lose because it's like then it gives me something to work towards, and I can do better on the next one. So I'm always open to suggestions, but like I don't let someone else dictate what I'm gonna talk about. I've definitely become more conscious of the things I do speak on, especially when it comes to my personal life, because I don't want people close to me feeling away or think like I'm airing out laundry that shouldn't be discussed. So over time, as in my career, I've learned to be better about that. There's some things that maybe I want to talk about, but I'll keep it from my perspective, or just like how it affects me, not really mention that. That's something that it's taking me a little while to get better at, but I find I'm doing pretty good so far. I haven't had any complaints lately.
Well, I think it's a good time now to transition over a bit to the different acts of this short film, because I found it be very interesting, and like all of them, like you said earlier, were a bit like contrasting, I guess a little bit, like there's different stuff happening. And I guess we'll start with Act One, The Dream, which was that whole insane asylum type like situation going on.
Yeah.
So what was going on in that scene? Like what was that supposed to showcase? Like what was it? What was happening?
Well, the introduction, you'll kind of see me performing live with actually my friend Mike. That was like one of our first shows. Well, one of our first shows actually recorded, so I can find a clip of. So that was just showing you like this is something that like when you're in your bed in your room when you're a kid, you're just kind of like daydreaming about things like, oh, one day I'm gonna be like this. I'll be a firefighter, or like one day I'm gonna have this nice car or whatever. So I kind of wanted to set it up like that. But then I wanted to add a more twisted thing because it's like such a dark thing to aspire to, especially for like hip hop, because it could be such a dark outlet for things. So I kind of wanted to show how nefarious it can kind of be. So you'd have 2 points of view. Like you would see here come down and like be very nurturing and like try to take care of me. But from my perspective, like this woman is attacking me kind of thing. So it's I wanted to show it's kind of like a double-edged sword to the dream, whereas it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It can be it can be a nightmare at the same time. So I tried to incorporate the dream with a nightmare and how things can be not always what it seems at the beginning. Because for me, I had a lot of people kind of take advantage of what I was trying to do, especially when you're young, you don't know a lot. People's like, "Oh yeah, like I'll get you on the show. Just give me $300, I'll get you on." It's like you don't have to pay to get on. Either show me where this money is going to, but like I should be getting paid. I'm the one performing my art that I wrote. And I'm going on that stage, like I should be getting paid. What am I paying you $300 for? You're not doing anything for me, And people pretending to be your friend, just trying to use like who you know. I had a lot of people say, "Man, bring me to the studio. I'd love to like see how you work." But they didn't want to see how I work. They just wanted to meet my engineer, meet the studio, and kind of weasel around and like to meet these people, which is like so. In the beginning, I was like, "Yeah, come to the studio. Everyone come and hang out." And now when I go to the studio, it's like, I don't want no one here, I just let me lock. Because now you're wasting. Because then it's like, I'll bring you to the studio. Like, yo, let me try doing a track. And it's like, yo, I'm the one paying by the hour to be here. And you're coming here off my dollar. Now you want to record like 5 songs? It's like, get out of here, bro.
Yeah.
That's some slime ball. But it's gonna happen, So It's just those things you kind of have to go through and you learn. You know? But it's part of the business. Like the entertainment business can be very shady. So.
How often has that happened to you?
In my earlier career, quite often, just different things, like just learning. Like, don't bring so many people around. Don't be so trusting. Now it's a lot easier to tell. Like, someone will message you on Instagram, like a spammy message, like, "Hey, man, I want to be your A&R or whatever." But before, it'd be like people you'd meet at the show, or they call you and say, "Hey, I got your number off such and such. Like, I think your music has a lot of potential." Da da da. It's like, "Yo, send me some money." Da da da. It's like, I don't really trust anyone. Even when someone's trying to give me a compliment, I never trust it. You know, I just become so like cynical of it all. I just kind of just shrug it off. Like, yeah, what are you getting out of this, bro?
And back on the Act One scene, I was looking. What is when the nurse is like giving you the pills? Is that supposed to symbolize something specifically, or?
It's kind of like when she gives you the pills, like you're kind of like your first step, like my first recording session. It was supposed to be like a metaphor for like putting your first song out. Like now you've ingested it, you take it, now it's the ride type of thing. Like when you do mushrooms, like once you eat the mushroom and it's swallowed, there's no going back. That's when the trip begins. So it's kind of like that. And yeah, the nurse is a girl that's been in a lot of my music videos, so it only made sense for her to be the one that kind of like kicks it off and like actually ingest it. And the doctor is actually a good friend of mine who was kind of, I'm glad I was happy to be part of the movie. So.
And I think we'll move on to Act Two now, which is "Tell Me You Love Me," and that was the act where it was the later in the act it was the theater thing, and then earlier it was like the outside dinner type thing, like that was happening. I'm pretty sure it was that. Yeah, it was that act.
Yeah, the "Tell Me You Love Me" was in where I'm kind of bound and beat up already from in the tub, and then I think the next act goes the rooftop. But yeah, the "Tell Me You Love Me" scene was just like I was talking about just earlier before. A lot of people just pretend that they really care about you. Like I've had people who are romantically interested in me just because of what potentially I could do for them, or like they liked the little buzz I was getting at the time when I really started like pushing my music. And then you just come to find out that they're just using you, they're taking advantage of you, and you're gonna end up, bound and whatever. It's always just about like, tell me you love me, it's all about me, or you wrote the song about me, and it's like, man, I'm living and breathing, this is my career, It's like, what are you doing to me, type of thing. So I wanted to show the toxic side of like relationships, really about that scene. That's one of my favorite openings of the act is like, tell me you love me. I think the way it was segue through the door when you go in. I think that's one of my favorite cuts.
I was wondering throughout when I was watching the whole thing, like what is the whole like tied up situation? Like what is that supposed to mean necessarily? Like is it supposed to be like
throughout or for a particular scene?
Well, I guess like throughout the whole thing. I guess like from what you've been saying, I guess that's supposed to like symbolize you just kind of like go like all these outside like events happening and you're just kind of like going through it type of thing, or
one aspect of it is I wanted you to feel like you're helpless, like there's nothing you can do. That's how I wanted the scene, because by the end of the movie, you kind of realize I had the power. To change anything I want. It's like in a dream when you finally realize, oh, none of this is real. I can just wake up or whatever. But in the moment, like you ever have those dreams where like something's about to attack you, but you can't move, you can't run. So I wanted to feel, as you watched it, I wanted you to just feel helpless. Like all these, like I wanted people to watch the movie and be like, man, why is he letting all this stuff happen to him? Like he can break out of those cuffs. Just take the thing out of your mouth. Like just get up and like hit it. Those movies you get frustrated?
Yeah.
I wanted to give people a little frustration because I got frustrated in my career. So I wanted people to feel like, what the hell? Like, because people would look at me like, why you keep doing this to yourself, type of thing, Like, why don't you just get up? Why don't you just quit? Why don't you just go do something else? But it's like, when you have that tunnel vision, you just feel helpless about it. And that was my way of kind of coming across like that in the movie. So I tried to make sure I was somehow tied up or restrained, or I couldn't talk, or handcuffed, whatever I could think of, type of thing, chained.
So when you were coming up with these different like scenes and different acts, did you take like big inspiration from like different events that have happened in your life?
Well, I would try to kind of segue into whatever like real clip, like the "Tell Me You Love Me" one is another show I did at Avant-Garde, and that's the one I was talking about. I was eating Future Chunks, and I was wearing the bulletproof vest and the bandana. And like I said, like someone asked me part of they were like this band that was touring. They asked me to open up for them. I was like, yeah, sure, man. Like free show for me, right? Like,
yeah,
I'm down for that. It's a good way to network. But there were some other guys who was like, yo, take that bandana off. I was like, I'm not taking the bandana off. Bro, like trying to give me a hard time. But the thing is, they watched my performance. They liked my music. They were cool with me up to the point. But my mom came to see the show, and I was calling her Uber for him to go home. And that was the moment that he chose, which I would feel like was the most vulnerable position, because I'm literally right next to my mom trying to get into the Uber. And this is the time that you decide to approach me, whispering in my ear, there's going to be problems. You don't take that bandana off. It's like, we're going to start causing a scene right here, right now. My mom's literally to my right. I have this big guy to my left. It's like, what a piece of shit moment for you to like attack me in this moment, you know? So I just feel like that would be a good way. And I started thinking about how that made me feel. I kind of felt helpless in the moment because I didn't want to cause a scene. I had people who came to see me, and it's like, I don't know who this individual is. I don't know if they have a weapon on them. It's like, I have to move smart in this moment. I just felt very vulnerable and very helpless. I mean, I figured out the situation. No harm was done, you know? He's not going to punk with me anytime soon. But it's like, I don't know. I just felt in that moment, when I think about it now, I just feel like so hopeless. It's like, okay, I want to swing on him, but if I do that, like, he knows this is my mom. I literally said in the crowd, this is my mom. You know, he's going to do something to her. So it's like, I can't. I felt helpless, like, you know, like someone tied me up, and I just have to take it on the chin right now. So I guess how I felt, I would just like kind of like meditate how I felt in the moment, and I tried to visually express that as I built the scene and I wrote the script. So like in the rooftop one, I'm kind of gagged, and whereas the woman on that's sitting at the dinner table was kind of in control. Like easily I could have like just run into her, like, you know, run amok, but in the moment it's just like I'm not. It's like, why not? You know, like why isn't he just, even though my hands were cuffed, I can easily just pull down my bandana and just call her a bitch, you know, or whatever. And it's just like I don't. It's like it's kind of me showing like the self-constraint I had, or like even things that kind of held me back as a person, you know, like not really communicating that well, like, when it comes to like a relationship, or just not expressing yourself type of thing. So there's little like messages in between all the imagery that I'm trying to show. I really have to like break down it scene by scene, but whatever people kind of pick up, I feel like is good enough at this point. You know, even if it's just like the first watch.
Did you so when you were just talking about that whole like interaction you had outside Avant-Garde, it kind of is similar to one of the scenes or where you're heading towards the theater, and like there's that photographer that comes up in front of you, and the guy with, you have like the big guy, which I think is that, who is that again? That's
the one that's behind me.
Yeah. And then you're with the girl as well in that scene. Yeah,
so that I had a lot of people do like recurring, almost like a Black Mirror episode where it's like kind of like the same characters but in a different role. But yeah, that was kind of like the paparazzi is kind of blinded by the fame and the excitement of like being a celebrity or like being kind of known, and like you only see that point. So that I kind of wanted him to be behind me, looking like he's my bodyguard, like he's escorting me into the theater, but really he has like a little pistol, kind of like I'm being forced to do it. So it's like sometimes when you'll get in your career where you're forced to do things you don't want to do, and that's really what I wanted to display in that moment, where you're going to like this big theater and you're supposed to be the star of the show, but really you're like being kidnapped by this whole industry, and they're kind of like making you do things that you really don't want to do, or like you kind of get at one point where you feel like you have to do things just to be a certain way, or if you really want like to get clout, I guess you gotta do some stupid shit, and it's like I don't want to do that. That's why you kind of see me, not to give it away, but I kind of learned how to like get away from it, you know. And I realized, like, oh, I can just get up and leave whenever I want, you know? None of this is keeping me. None of this has power over me unless I allow it to have power over me. Even with the criticism, I wanted to show that too. Like, people can say, like, at one point in that scene, people were saying some nasty things about me. And these are either things that people have actually said to me, or just things that, like, you kind of overthink as an artist yourself. Like, oh, if I post this, like, clip of me in the studio, people think I'm sounding like trash and the lighting's not good. You know, there's things you think about as an artist. I kind of wanted to show that, but it's like, at the end of the day, if you don't post that, they win, because you're not even posting content now. You know, even a bad piece of content, at least you're still feeding some sort of fan base.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I've talked to a few bands about that, especially like some bands in past interviews who are like just coming back from like a longer hiatus, and I've talked about, you know, wanting to be more active, and it's all about that. I mean, especially when you're like a smaller artist, if you're not active, you're pretty much just dead at that point. Like, like it's over. You know what I mean?
Forget about you very quickly.
Exactly, because when you already have such a small following, you know, like it's just, if you're not posting and not keeping up to date, you know, you're pretty much just losing that already small fan base that you have.
the worst thing to me is like, yo, you still doing that music thing? Oh, bro. Yo, you still doing that hip hop thing, bro? It's like, oh. I wish you just said nothing. That's the worst. When you hear that, it's like, yo.
When you just mentioned a bit before how like, you know, you might want like do things that are like stupid and like things that maybe you don't want to do. Has that ever like happened in your music career up to this point that you like used when it came to making this short film?
No, I had a lot of control over the film, so I didn't really have to do anything I didn't want to do. But there's definitely times, especially when I was making content, I was just trying to get like the shock value. So like I would just try to like break things. I'd try to like jump doing stupid things, or let people like slap me, or just like, you know, just micro stuff, nothing crazy like that. But I definitely felt like, okay, now I'm the one kind of forcing myself to do these stupid things, and it's like you can get lost in the content game too, especially nowadays, because you just want the likes, you just want the views. Like, how can I shock someone? But you have to remember that like you have to be on brand. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, you could, hey guys, I'm gonna do a podcast and I'm gonna jump out the window and you do this. It's crazy. You get like thousands and thousands of views, but like, what does that do with your podcast? When people eventually watch the podcast, like, there's nothing to do with this, and they're not gonna watch it. So it's like you risked all that. You risked your life. You got a couple thousand views, but you don't have any money in your pocket. You have a broken arm. You got to pay for it now, and just like, and no one's still watching your podcast. So like, what did you really gain from it? You know. So you have to find that fine line between shock value and like, I don't know, executing your point or executing the idea. And sometimes, like in everything I've discussed, like I get a little carried away with it, and like I really want to shock someone, but at the same time, it has to like land so that I can kind of convert that person into like a lifelong fan, or like a customer or a potential one. You know, it's like you have to really be smart about the risks you take. It's all about risk management, right?
Yeah. And I think after that, we should move on to the last act of the short film, which is the wet joke.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure what happens in that one, if I can remember, is
Restaurant.
Yeah, it's the restaurant, and I remember the ending with like the gasoline and all that was happening. I don't know, could you walk through that a little bit?
Well, I wanted to be in a restaurant because I work as a cook. I started off like my music career, so I thought it'd be kind of funny to like my last scene as an artist. And sometimes you kind of feel like, man, I'm just gonna be cooking my life away, or like music's never gonna be whatever, you know. I'll just be a cook type of thing, you know. So that was pretty funny. But yeah, that at the end of it, it was just like, you know, before you die, your life kind of like flashes before you, as they say. So I just wanted to be more dramatic about that, and just like, okay, the place you think you're always gonna end up, this is where you're gonna die. And now that you're here, you're gonna hear every terrible thing that you constantly think. So that's what the main villain in there kind of expresses to me before he drags me out and kind of puts me out of my misery. And but at the end of it, not to give it away, you kind of realize that
Try and be as like wide about it as you can.
yeah, because I don't want to give it, because it's kind of one of my favorite scenes. But just like the thing that's going to kill you is actually the thing that kind of frees you, type of thing. You know, like once you kind of faced your fears, type of thing. Like if you think of Batman, like Batman was afraid of bats, right? Then he became the bat. So it's kind of like something like that, where like my worst fear came to be, and at the end of it, now I'm even stronger than I was before. So. But yeah, that was probably one of my favorite scenes too. Pretty dramatic. The U-Haul truck. I was pretty excited about doing that scene. There's a lot more that I wanted to do, but we just didn't have the time to do it. And shout out to the Maribel Fish Market for letting me. I have a question for you, though.
Oh.
Was the movie, when I told you I had this movie and I was going to send it to you, and we talked about my music, when you actually watched the film, was it what you thought it was going to be? Or like, did it completely give you like a left turn? Did you think it was going to be like some 8 Mile, like, this guy's going to be like rapping in his like mom's room and then, you know, some shit like that? Or was it like, oh wow, like this is like not what I was expecting at all? Or you think it's like me on my iPhone? Because every time I saw when I had a movie, that's what they were expecting me. They were expecting like me just shooting it like on my phone or something, and it's just like this like low budget 8 Miles.
Oh, you actually have a camera crew? What the hell, man?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We were pretty impressed by the actual film, the way it looked, because they were expecting like some 1080p type, you know.
I mean, I don't know what I was expecting. I mean, like, I haven't really watched too many short films in my time, but I mean, I was definitely expecting it to be like on like you know music making or something like that. So, but it was just like it was just a very interesting like type of short film. I mean, like it was just like the point of view it was taking. I thought was cool, and like the different stuff that was happening was left me a bit intrigued, you know, throughout it. So it was just kind of like, I mean, in the end, I didn't really expect anything that was happening in it, but I was pleasantly surprised with it, though.
It's good to know. I'm always curious. Like some people told me in the there's one scene I think in the movie theater scene, people get a little teary eyed at a couple points. I don't know why. But,
Really?
yeah. I mean, I don't want to give it away, but there's like a particular scene. I'll tell you after the podcast.
All right.
But a few people like when I finished the movie and like I got up in the theater just to thank everyone. People like, man, you almost made me cry. I was like, why? what did I do? Like, I'm like, is it that bad? Almost made you cry.
That's wild, though.
Yeah.
Crying? Like the same one that I got sent. Like
Yeah, the same movie. There's a particular scene in the whatever act with the movie theater, and like my mom told me, my cousin told me that, a few other the actors, because they didn't get to see any of the movie until they actually got to watch it, that thing, right? Because they just did their scene and it's like, yo, get out of here type of thing, you know, like because I wanted everyone to be like a surprise, like you know,
Yeah.
a big reveal.
Well, I mean, is there anything else you'd like to say about the short film before we wrap it up?
Fingers crossed it goes into a festival, and I've been thinking about it for a while, and I'll probably do a second run at the Mayfair or maybe at the Bytown. But I would love to premiere it again in the city and probably make it a bigger event. Maybe do like a concert or
Absolutely.
something. I think it'd be a good time. I think it needs to be watched a couple times. People were already asking, like, can I watch it again? So I was like, they will have to put it back in the theater.
Yeah, see, if because you know you made your first premiere, right? So now it's time to like see how many people you can get for because people already know about it now, you know.
Yeah, because
People
it
have heard about it.
wasn't really open to the public.
Yeah.
So maybe I can actually get like
a bigger crowd coming. I think you definitely can, like especially like now that you've kind of announced it and maybe like showcased it a little bit. So now you can get a decent crowd coming in for a little bit of a concert / short film premiere.
Yeah,
It would be
that'd
kind of
crazy.
cool.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
All right. I mean, like, is there before we end, is there anyone you want to like shout out, like before we ended, just like that's been super involved with like your music or your career up to this point?
Shout out to my girl for putting up with all my stupid ideas, different projects off the fly. Shout out to my mom for supporting me the whole time. Shout out to my movie director and my number one shooter, Josh, Inceptive Sound. Shout out to Mac. Shout out to Mike, always being a homie. And shout out to anyone who still streams my songs, comes to my shows, likes my posts. I appreciate every single one. I'm glad you guys are still listening, and hopefully by the end of this year, I'm gonna have something really crazy to show you. So shout out to that.
All right. Well, look forward to that. As thank you again to Ocean for coming down to Algonquin College for the interview, as well as the live interview we had last Saturday.
Yes. Shout out to Algonquin. Glad to be here back.
Make sure to go check him out on Instagram and Spotify. Listen to his music and look out for the short film, as in the next coming months, we'll probably be hearing more about it by the sounds of it. So this is going to be an exciting time for the short film and for Ocean. So make sure to look forward to that. Thank you for listening. And yeah.
Lost up in my ways. Like the way you crash on me. I like the way it tastes. Ooh, would you sacrifice?